And they look just like wells that you would see on land. They're made out of concrete. And they stick these big pipes down under the ocean floor, and they have to suck up all this oil onto a platform that looks kind of like this. It's just like a floating concrete island where they work on all of the oil in that belly. And you hear attention up here. Exactly. And so what happened was that concrete well at the very bottom of the ocean floor exploded. Now, what do you think is the result of that? Hector, what do you think happened when that concrete well at the bottom of the ocean, when it exploded, what do you think happened to all the oil that it was sucking up?
It might die.
What's that?
It might die.
Now, is oil a living thing?
No.
It's a non-living organism, so oil can't die, but it can go where, Juan?
It will go around the ocean. It will kill the
Yes. Yeah, it exploded. The oil leaked everywhere. Now, what's the problem with oil and water? Yeah,
They mix up.
do they mix together?
No.
They don't mix together. In fact, oil was gushing all out of this and then floating on the surface of the water. Because oil and water don't mix together. They're not a solution. They don't dissolve into one another. The oil floats on top of the water. So think about what the problem is. Imagine that you're in a swimming pool and you are swimming underwater, and then eventually you have to what?
Come up.
Come up for air. Is that going to be easy to do if there's a thick layer of oil and you have to come up for a breath? Or imagine if you're a turtle. Do turtles and fish stick their whole heads out of the water to breathe? They just stick it up a little bit. What happens when they breathe in? Juanita, why?
Because they have to get water and
They do need water, but what's the problem with the water, Morgan?
There is for example, with the water, if they breathe in and there's oil all over them, they will breathe in the oil.
Exactly. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. So this caused a lot of problems. And do you remember how many months the oil was leaking for?
No.
Did I tell you?
No.
3 months. 3 months. This was gushing uncontrollably. About 50 million barrels of oil. Barrel is like this tall and this wide. 50 million of those. Can you imagine going all over the ocean? Bryn, what is the consequence of that on our ocean's ecosystem?
a bunch of the animals will die.
They'll perish. They'll perish. And there were so many other effects too, even for humans. We're part of that ecosystem too. And so what I want you guys to do, I'm going to show you a map. Yes, sir.
Speaking of moving for a permanent reason, those people are called an immigrant.
Very good. You're using our vocabulary word. I like that.
And moving on a boat is called a voyage.
Yes. Wow, Jonah, you are sure thinking and making connections. I like that. Yes, Diego.
What are the pipes?
What's that?
Can you draw the pipes?
Yeah. Here's the well, and the pipes go up to this. This is called an oil rig.
I think I have seen one.
Yeah, it's like the construction site. Kind of think of it like that, where they refine the oil and they carry it out to land. Yeah, they do. So here's the pipe. But when it exploded, there was a crack in it. Yes, Madeline?
My dad has an oil rig at his farm.
Does he really? That's very cool. I'm sure that it's very useful to him if he sells it. 'Cause oil is worth lots of money.
How did the oil like disappear when how did it
we have to clean all of it. And it's a huge expense, and it's almost impossible to do because there's so much of it. So they've done all sorts of things. I have an article. Here are some of the things that they did to try and clean up the oil. They used skimmer ships, big ships that are like vacuum cleaners over the surface of the ocean that sucked it up. They had floating booms, which are like floating little boats that bring water in and clean the water as it goes out. They also burned the oil. They tried to do controlled burns along the beaches where there was lots of oil and burn it off. But do you think they got all of it? No. Not even close. No. Brayden?
Like the oil rig in Cars 2. Like it.
Yeah. You're exactly right. Yes, ma'am.
I was at my friend's graduation, and he decided to take us to the beach for his graduation. And then when I got out, there was tarry stuff all over my.
Really? What beach were you at?
The Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah. So you were probably very close to where oil was coming. And because of the currents, the ocean currents, who remembers what ocean currents are? Morgan?
Waves.
They're like waves. Are they on the top of the water? Where are they, Courtney? Underwater. They're like these floating rivers. Not floating, I'm sorry. These underwater rivers of water that travel in a specific direction. And it was taking this water with the oil in it from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up the Atlantic Ocean to other states. They were finding it. I mean, it traveled fast. And I have a map for you guys so that you can kind of see. So this is the Gulf of Mexico. Oops. Do you guys know what country this is here? Mexico. Do you know what state this is here? Texas. This is the very tip of Texas, and we are like right kind of where the U in United States is. Very close to that. Now we've got some more states here. We have Louisiana here, and Mississippi here, and Alabama here, and Florida is over here, farther east. The name of the oil rig that exploded in this accident was called the Deepwater Horizon rig. And it wasn't all that deep compared to some other ones. In fact, if you look at our map here, you'll see like some white checkered squares kind of. Do you see the like very light blue, pale gray ones up here?
Yeah.
Those are very, very shallow areas of water. As you get to like the more dark blue, that's even deeper, and that's the kind of water that the Deepwater Horizon oil rig was in. As you get to this like purplish navy blue, that's the deepest of them all. And to show you where we were, this was the oil rig that exploded. Very close to what state? Can you see? It's kind of hard to read.
What are the
Mississippi?
Yeah, very close to Mississippi. The red lines are oil pipes. See how much oil the United States is drilling in the Gulf of Mexico? All of these lines are pipelines carrying oil through the ocean to where we are. Crazy. Yes, Elizabeth?
But how did the thingy break?
How did it break? Let's see if you guys can figure that out. Have you guys ever gone swimming and you swim to the very, very bottom? What's the deepest water that you swim in? Oh, we still have to be quiet, but if you raise your hand, not answer. Corinne?
12 feet.
12 feet. Okay, that's very deep. Now, Corinne, how did your ears